All right, rumor has it we're live, Lizzie.
Awesome.
Awesome. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Terry Vanderbeck with Sanford Health, joined once again by our sports nutrition registered dietitian, Lizzie Kasparek.
Hello.
Welcome back, everybody. Glad to have you guys here again. As you can see, I'm going with the mature cross-legged look tonight, so
We can do that too.
I'm feeling wise these days.
Okay, good.
No, but we're glad to have you guys here again. Another installment where you get to, well, I ask questions of Lizzie, and that if you like, you can certainly ask questions as well. We encourage that. We're trying this on Facebook tonight, in part because we usually try and go where our audience is. And although tonight's theme is sports nutrition for high school athletes, we know the parents have a huge influence on that still. Kids want to see themselves as being independent, but we all know mom and dad usually buy the groceries, mom and dad do most of the cooking. So we figured let's go where mom and dad are, i.e. Facebook, instead of Snapchat or Instagram,
yeah.
other places. So that's where we are tonight. So again, we're gonna tee things up, get things moving here. If you have questions, chime in at any time. Executive producer Dylan is behind the camera. He will help get those questions to us. We did have some submitted in advance that we will get to as well. And anyways, glad to have you guys here. Hopefully we can cut through the noise here and give you some legitimate information. So Lizzie, let's start kind of addressing our broad topic tonight, the high school athlete. We're not necessarily talking middle school, we're not talking college or pro, although some of these lessons may apply across the board, but specific to that high school student athlete, what's different or unique about them that they should know from a nutrition standpoint?
Yeah, so the biggest thing that we always think about with high school athletes is that they start to make some of those nutrition decisions on their own. Like I think about when I was in high school, like I'm able to go to the fast food restaurant. I can pack my own lunch. I'm going to practices on my own. My mom is not necessarily getting me there. I'm going with my friends or getting a ride, stuff like
Freedom.
that. A lot of independence, right? But on the other hand, parents are still making a lot of those nutrition decisions. So they are still determining, hey, we're making enough dinner so that there's leftovers the next day, or here's the healthy snacks that we have in the cabinet and things like that. So that's probably the biggest difference. The other thing is too, high schoolers are really growing a lot, and we kind of talked about this, that high schoolers, you're not an adult yet, you are still growing, and so a lot of our nutrition decisions need to take that into account, that we're eating enough, we're eating the right nutrients, so that we're taking that growth into consideration.
Yeah, for sure. You're not a kid anymore either, so you can't just eat a handful of Cheerios and call it good, especially, again, if you're an athlete. You're putting out more, you're trying to reap the gains of that hard work, and if you don't fuel your body right, you're not going to get those results.
Well, exactly, and I think a lot of times we look up to these bigger athletes, like your college-age athletes or professionals. They've not only been in the training for that much longer, so that's why they look a lot more developed or they have those skills, but they also eat right. So there's hardly ever a professional athlete that just eats terribly, right? They sometimes have a private chef, or they're at the college level, they have a dining hall and things like that, so that they're able to eat those healthy foods. So it's not just like, I slept in and didn't eat anything for 8 hours.
It's easier for them too, because a lot of times you have people looking out for you. So again, that's where we're at tonight, those kids that need the help from mom and dad, or just need to learn some of these habits on their own.
Yeah.
So let's start off. You gave me a couple tips here that we want to start with broadly, and the first one you mentioned is focus on making sure you're eating enough versus maybe focusing on what you're eating first off. So that's not saying obviously don't just eat cheese puffs all day, but go into that a little more. Tell us why that's so important.
Yeah, a lot of times parents and kids will start to really focus in on specifics, so like protein or specific good carbs, bad carbs, specific snacks, superfoods, things like that, and they might not even be eating enough, right? So like getting into that good rhythm of like breakfast, lunch, dinner, eating a couple snacks, or really eating every 3 to 4 hours, especially if they are doing summer training practices, strength and conditioning, they need to be eating enough. So they need to be eating at least 3 square meals, regular meals, and then they need to probably have a couple snacks in between there. So just eating enough before we're so hyper focused on eating the right way, right? And then we can kind of move into what do those meals look like? So a lot of times we focus a lot on dinner, and that might be a really good time to get together as a family and eat that meal that's like protein and veggies and some kind of carb. Like almost always when I ask high school kids, what do you guys have for dinner? It's like baked dish, or it's like meat and potatoes and some kind of veggie. Like there's always a really good meal on the table sometimes when I talk to these kids. But breakfast sometimes is that meal where we're either flying out the door. I'm always harping on breakfast because it's like the forgotten meal.
Right.
Let's get some protein
Some call
on
it
that
the most
plate.
important meal of the day.
The most important meal. So
Right.
like, especially when kids are so active and they're just go, 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 try to get the food when you can. So like if you're at practice for a couple hours and then you're going and, you know, hanging out, you're all over the place, you need to make sure that breakfast is an actual meal, not just like you said, a handful of, I almost said a handful of Skittles, a handful of Cheerios, a handful of Skittles, honestly, if you're a high school athlete.
Right.
We're eating right so that we're fueling our body to go into those practices for the day.
Yeah, and honestly, fueling your brain uses a ton of calories too, especially when it's growing and developing.
Well,
so
and
you
I talk
may
about
not
that
think as well.
exactly with team sport athletes, especially. Think about like your brain and the decision-making skills that you need when you're out there on the field, you're out there on the court. Your brain is not working at its full functioning if you are hungry, and especially if you're out there on the field and your stomach starts growling. That is such a huge distraction. So like I talk about that a lot with golf because they're out there and it's such a focus sport. And when your stomach starts growling, you're automatically not thinking about your sport. You're thinking about the fact that you're hungry.
I'm resisting the urge right now to get into a long tangent about prehistoric man and how fire and being able to eat enough calories. That was one of the reasons we changed and evolved, is because our brain had enough calories. So that's a real thing, people. I'm not a scientist, but I read a book once.
We're evolutionary biologists now.
That's fine. I think we're qualified.
That's a thing.
I mean, we're on Facebook.
Eat enough.
Like, how much more official do you get than that?
Get a big brain.
Yeah. Point number 2, which again, people think nutrition, they don't often think the hydration side, which is a key piece. The funny thing about this is all the kids are either given a water bottle by their respective team, organization, club, or they go buy the hydro flask. Don't get me started on big water bottle. But hydration, you see that a lot. Talk about simple ways that you can kind of improve in that field.
Yeah, hydration is huge. So athletes don't ever think about the fact that when your muscles are dehydrated, they don't have as much endurance. You tire quicker. Again, those decision-making skills are probably out the window. There's a lot of good research looking into hydration and like the performance decrements we see when you're dehydrated. And it's the easiest. It's free unless you're buying the $50 water bottle, right? So it's free. Honestly, our water fountains are here and they have really good tasting water. Are they open? I think they
do.
Are.
We're okay.
So the biggest thing is do not rely on just drinking glasses of water with meals. That's your only hydration. You need to have water throughout the day, and like the 32-ounce water bottles, that's like standard. Probably a couple of those, 2 or 3. So those, especially when you're out there in the heat, that's really, really important. It cools down your body. It's going to keep you hydrated. So you need to be thinking about, I'm going to drink 3 of these a day, not just like willy-nilly, I have a couple glasses of water with meals. All fluids count, but like if you are out there in the hot sun, that's where probably when you need electrolytes. So if you are practicing this summer, or you're doing some outdoor runs, or like I've seen people out on the bike path biking or rollerblading, things like that, that's still all exercise. You're losing fluid. So you need to add in some electrolytes if you're out there for a long time in the hot sun and things like that. So make it just a habit, right?
Sure.
If you need to make it taste good, like sports drinks taste good, so even if it's like a G2 or Powerade Zero or adding Crystal Light, something like that to give it some flavor, that's going to automatically make you drink more of that water.
Right.
That all counts.
Almost got another sidebar about energy drinks, but I'll hold that. We'll
energy
take that
drinks
one
don't count.
We'll
so
take
I
that
said,
offline.
I said
we'll take that offline.
all fluids count, but not energy.
Don't get me started on
drinks.
BCCAs, Lizzie. I will lose it. Okay.
Those don't count either.
All right. Oh, wow. Okay. Now I'm just sidetracked. Okay. So you did have some. I'll throw out one more here before we go to your questions. I suspect, as the father of yes, I'm that old, of a high school athlete, but as a former high school athlete myself, taste or perceived taste probably stands in the way and or influences more of their decisions, right? Your palate's maybe not as sophisticated, or you're just like, wow, that tastes gross, I don't know what that is. You're less likely to maybe try new things in that time in your life. I would say one of your big strengths in my experience with you and these athletes, so is it's not necessarily always about that you can't have stuff that tastes good, right? Like you tell people a lot of times, peanut butter and jelly, like peanut butter and jelly is okay for a high school athlete, like that's fine. It doesn't have to be, salmon and asparagus all day, every day, although that's great. What have you seen on that front? How much of a hindrance is perceived taste, i.e. especially sweetness probably, towards that specific group of athletes?
I think that taste is huge, and a lot of athletes think that they're either eating healthy or they're not. It's like black or white. Okay. It's like I'm either eating the couscous berry quinoa mixture that's like the health food, or I'm eating, fast food. And you can have a combination. Like you can have breaded chicken on the same plate that you have some veggies, right? Sure. And a lot of times I tell high school athletes, start trying different things in different ways, right? So maybe you don't like raw broccoli, but maybe you will like it when it's cooked. So like if your parents are putting it on the table, like just try it, take 2 bites. Because when you're an adult and you have to go buy that stuff yourself, it costs money for you, right? So I'm always like, maybe you would actually like it and you don't have to like test that later on.
The other thing is you can just hide it in a smoothie, as you taught me with
Okay,
cauliflower.
that was my second thing, is that if all else fails, hide it in a smoothie. Like
Yes.
I saw a comment the other day on Instagram that was like, I will never put spinach in a smoothie. You do not taste it. So that's really a good way to hide a lot of fruits, get in your veggies. Again, try stuff in different ways. And it doesn't have to be black or white. It's not, this is healthy, this is unhealthy. And that it goes especially for parents who think that, you know, we're not setting the bar, like you don't have to eat like a professional athlete. Like you can still serve like cheesy baked dish, but if you could put a veggie in there too, that would just like elevate it that much more.
Sure. I'd advocate for the parents to be upfront about the veggies.
Yeah.
If you hide it and they find out, not that this has ever happened to me as a high school kid, feel betrayed.
Oh, my mom put
betrayed.
tofu in, I think it was chili. Tofu in the chili, because we had an older brother, high school brother, and we were younger. She was trying to stretch the meat.
Right.
Like we gotta get that protein, but don't hide it. We're like, what is this white chunks?
That's not good. Okay, all right, let's go to your questions, because again, we appreciate the questions. Even if you can't be watching live, you can find us on all the social channels, and so we appreciate one of the coaches who submitted some questions. So let's go to that.
Yes.
What kind of questions do we have here?
Okay, I get this question a lot, is just on packing snacks. Okay, I want all high school parents, high school athletes to think outside the box when it comes to snacks. So snacks, I get a lot of like the chewy granola bars, especially my football athletes who need, maybe they're a bigger athlete and they are practicing for like 2-a-days and things like that.
Sure.
They might need thousands of calories, and a chewy granola bar is like 80. So it's not very much nutrition bang for your buck. You'd need to eat like the whole box. So let's think outside the box. Let's think outside the fruit snack box too. Fruit snacks, I'm gonna slam them. Fruit snacks are actually really, really good for if you're in a tournament and there's not much time in between and you just need like a blood sugar boost or like halftime, something like that. Fruit snacks, they're okay. But otherwise, that's just candy, you guys. So think outside the box. We're gonna do our whiteboard on the snacks this week, but peanut butter and jelly, you mentioned that, like that tastes good when it's like smushed and gross, right? It's still gonna taste good. So peanut butter and jelly, nuts, trail mix, even like dry whole grain cereal can be in there. Fruit, like the fruit pouches of like the applesauce. My college athletes like those. Those aren't just for babies. The applesauce pouches, mandarin oranges, fresh fruit, like grab a banana, grab an orange, have an apple. They make those like peanut butter packets. So peanut butter packets, you can have those like a whole thing of those in your backpack. That if you get hungry, throw that on an apple.
What about Fruit Leathers?
Fruit Leathers is also candy.
Oh no!
Yeah. Wait, but
Shots fired.
maybe like the 100%. If it's 100% fruit, like I'm thinking like the box of fruit snacks that says made with fruit.
Yeah, I'm not talking about.
And it's like the Scooby Doo.
Right.
And it's green.
Okay. I'll give you a sample later, and you can tell me if it's okay or not. It better be, because.
But a lot of those, like I say a lot with the fruit snacks or even dried fruit, those are really good if you have a practice in like less than an hour. Like I said, halftime things, stuff like that, or like you were just. Like I think about like my gymnasts that are out there for hours practicing and like they might get a little snack break. Well, they don't want something that's gonna like weigh them down while they're out doing gymnastics. So like a fruit snack, that might actually be, or fruit leather, that's actually a really good choice because it your body absorbs it really quickly and utilizes it as energy. That's not a good thing if your next meal is 3 hours away. Right? Like you need some staying power.
We're avoiding the brand names here as much as we can, so that we keep our sponsorship availability down the line.
Yes.
Go ahead. Next question.
Okay, next question. We're preparing for summer lifting, and like, what kinds of food should we be adding in? So again, my biggest thing with the lifting and the like, you're practicing, you're lifting, and you're just active because it's summer and it's beautiful outside. And like I said, I've seen a lot of kids on the bike path right now. I would say that the biggest thing that I say is, if you can eat breakfast, I'm gonna stop talking about breakfast, but if you can eat breakfast, that's probably the number one thing that I tell almost every single high school athlete that walks through my door. Like I'll look at this food log and it'll be just awesome. They have their post-workout nutrition, they have, 2 awesome meals, and then their breakfast is just like nothing. So eat breakfast, especially if you're doing summer lifting, because that's gonna help you get the calories you need. It's also gonna help you choose better options when you actually get to your next meal. Because if you get to a meal and you're starving to death, you're probably gonna overeat and you're probably not gonna choose the healthier options, right? Like if I go to my favorite fast food restaurant, I'm not gonna say it right now, if I was really, really hungry, I would order like way too much off the menu and ice cream. Culver's. Okay, other things, post-workout nutrition. So if you're lifting this summer, post-workout nutrition is really important. A lot of times we think, oh, after a workout, I just need to get my protein in. And with especially like my male athletes, they might get that protein in. That doesn't mean anything if you haven't eaten anything in 6 hours. So like if you haven't eaten anything since last night and then you lift really hard in the morning and you get your protein, then you go home and you go to bed, take a nap, whatever.
Yep.
And now you haven't eaten anything since last night, like a real meal, that protein isn't doing a lot for you.
Sure.
So again, regular meals, that's really going to be the most important.
Okay.
And then for especially my female athletes, like getting in that post-workout nutrition doesn't automatically mean you're going to look like the Incredible Hulk.
Sure.
So you're not going to bulk up just because you ate protein after your workout. So again, trying to get that post-workout nutrition.
Okay. And again, to the breakfast point, something's better than nothing.
Something better than
although
nothing.
certainly maybe you might want to start with some nice eggs and some toast with avocado.
Yeah.
Even if you're eating regular old Cheerios, that's probably better.
Yes, a bowl of cereal is awesome. Peanut butter toast, like my big one with my college athletes, which again, they're not the same as you guys, but they've got maybe some of these easy breakfasts down when they're running to class.
Yep.
Peanut butter toast and a Greek yogurt, because you get your protein, you get your carbs, you get your healthy fats. Or like a yogurt parfait, like just take a piece of fruit and a yogurt, throw some granola on it. Or those crunchy granola bars. Not a name brand, but just crunch it up in the package, instant granola.
That's just,
Yeah.
They should rebrand as that.
Yes, just crumbs.
Just
That's a meme, I think.
All right, what's your third one?
Okay, third one is about smoothies. So like I'm done with power.
Real quick on the smoothies, if you need more smoothie nutrition or information, go to our first ever live with Lizzie, and you will get a lot of information and some smoothie recipes.
Yeah, that was really
And you'll watch her tricking me into eating cauliflower.
Cauliflower. He did eat cauliflower.
Yep.
This is about homemade smoothies. So when I worked in a restaurant, actually, I would make a homemade smoothie with a lot of frozen ingredients, and it would stay cold for like an hour or two, right? In like a Yeti or whatever your thermos mug is. So like if you're coming to Power, you could make that for your post-workout nutrition. If you really had that, like, I'm trying to eat healthy and I want to add some veggies in. But if you're just stopping at a smoothie restaurant, there are some good options, but some things that you want to stay away from. So like if you just had an awesome workout, you want to get in that post-workout protein and you want those carbs. So like try to choose a smoothie that has yogurt or whey protein in it.
Sure.
Specifically, like I'm thinking about a menu right now, and there's like probably only 3 or 4 options that have that protein component. If you're like, I just love this one and it doesn't have yogurt or whey protein, try to add it in, because then you're getting that protein in there. So the biggest thing is that a lot of those are just like fruit, and sometimes they have like sherbet in them. That's ice cream, right? Like that's maybe not the best refueling option for you just got done with your weights or you just got done with your workout.
Right.
So really try to avoid the ones with sherbet or ice cream unless it's a treat. You're just like trying to get refreshed. Trying to get some protein in there with the yogurt or the whey protein with the fruit.
Sure. I'm going to go back to something you said a few minutes ago. You talked about athletes maybe not realizing that they need a whole bunch of calories. For somebody that's trying to figure that out, like obviously we see the recommended caloric intakes for adults, which again is different than an active teenager. Where can they start? Do they just do a food log at home? Is there somebody they should bounce it off of? How do I know how many calories I actually need based on my output? Give us some starting points that obviously short of setting up an appointment with you or somebody of your ilk, how can they kind of work their way through what's right for them?
A lot of times when I get that question from parents a lot, because they just want to make sure their athlete is eating enough. Or like their athlete has a specific weight gain goal, like how many calories does Jimmy need? So I mean, you can calculate like using an estimator, like Eat My Plate. I think it's eatmyplate.gov. My Plate. Just type in. It has like your plan on there. You can type in your height, your weight, and it'll give you an estimated calorie range. There's a lot of calorie calculators out there. The hardest thing is that kids are at different like stages of development too. So like you might have Jimmy that is awesome and muscular and looks a lot older than his classmate that doesn't have facial hair and isn't as matured, right? So that kid that's still growing might need more calories, right? So that's really hard to take into consideration. So I would say, food log actually is a good place to start, just for like your own analysis, or just thinking of, hey, what is one meal that I do need to improve upon? So like am I putting a lot of focus on dinner and I have this like awesome plate, I'm looking down, I have some color, I have some carbs, I have some protein. and then breakfast, I'm just running out the door.
Sure.
Well, like I don't need a food log or calorie calculator to tell me that breakfast is that meal I need to work on. Or think about, when are you most hungry during the day? If you are starving every single day at like 3 p.m., well, like what are you eating for lunch? Maybe not enough, right? Or maybe you need to add in some more calories at that snack.
Sure.
Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
I feel like really when I look at an athlete food log, I go breakfast, lunch, dinner. Are they even buckets? Like, are they about the same size? Are they about the same makeup? Like, do they have enough calories? Does that make sense?
Sure.
Or is it like chewy granola bar for breakfast,
Yep.
peanut butter and jelly for lunch, and then like awesome plate at dinner, and
Yep.
then all the snacks because I'm so hungry because I didn't eat enough.
Sure. Let's speak directly to mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, guardian, whoever the situation is here. How can I, and again, we can use me as an example. I've never been afraid of that.
Yeah.
But you know, as you said, kids they're off throughout the day. They've got more freedom. They're making choices on their own. But if I'm mom and dad, at the end of the day, you could certainly harp on your kid. You can make it a negative experience, or you can control the things you can control too.
Yeah.
What are some things that mom and dad could do? And I'm going to assume that's starting with like grocery shopping.
Yeah.
But maybe not making it like a dictatorship. Like, hey, let's find some new stuff that you know might be good, helping you reach your goals, and or then like cooking dinner, which again I think most parents handle.
Yeah.
How can you approach kind of the end of the day where it's like, I'm going to do my part to help make sure that you get a nutritious dinner, so that at least that part's taken care of.
Yeah.
And whatever other decisions you make.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I see from parents is that they want to eat healthy too. Like a lot of times
Sure.
they just want to eat healthy as a family. And really what I say is like, Jimmy still needs to eat those healthy foods. I'm going to keep throwing Jimmy under the bus. Jimmy still needs to eat those healthy foods.
Right.
So like whatever you do for him as an athlete, like are things that you could all be doing. He may need a lot more calories, right? Because he's very active and he's training and trying to gain muscle and all of that. But you guys should all be in this together to eat those healthy foods. So like make it a family thing. So if you're looking down at your plate and Jimmy's has all these awesome healthy athlete foods on it, like, I mean, you have to lead by example too, and we're all eating this together.
Sure.
And when it comes to just like trying new foods, I think having that good variety and also like trying different things. So like I have a lot of people, Greek yogurt, for example. I don't like Greek yogurt. Well, there's like tons of brands out there of different ones and
Right.
ways to like add it to a smoothie or add fruit, like things like that would make it maybe taste good.
Mhm.
So like just because you didn't like it one way
Sure.
doesn't mean you wouldn't like a different brand or wouldn't like it a different way. So like,
Right, or throw some granola in there to make the texture different.
yeah,
Or,
exactly.
Don't
So
buy the plain flavored. At least get the vanilla flavored.
I like
Right?
plain.
Do you really?
I put some honey
Just
in
plain?
it. Honey?
Well, you see, you sweeten it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Put berries, you put the berries
Yeah.
in there and it gets really sweet.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, when it comes to cooking for your family, a lot of times it just comes down to variety, right? So it's not just like, oh, I need a lot more protein. A lot of times athletes, we think that like they need all this. My mom always says that too, like make sure you get protein for energy. It's like, don't watch this, Mom. I'm always like, carbs are energy. But athletes actually need a lot of carbs. So like think about
Yeah.
like healthy carbs that you can choose, like potatoes, brown rice, quinoa, whole grain pasta. A lot of these things that
Chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk, yeah. Athletes need more of these kinds of foods, and so offering a variety of those different kinds of foods too is going to be good for the family.
Sure. Executive producer Dylan, do we have any questions from the live audience at home that we need to answer?
Not a question, but they would
Complaint?
Not quite.
Okay.
Not yet. We haven't gotten to that segment.
Okay.
They would love for us to talk about these topics with the power groups starting in June at the schools. They feel it would be better coming from us instead of their parents.
Oh, yeah.
They would also like some recommendations for apps that kids can use to make this a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's
Okay.
interesting about the app. Sometimes the apps, I feel like there's so many out
Yeah.
there, and even me, I always think
struggle with that.
I think that they just turn it off sometimes. Not that there's not good ones out there. There's actually some interesting ones that I've seen in the past that even just like remind you to drink water.
Sure.
Right? Like silly stuff like that. With the apps, again, a good one that I've used with some athletes is that alarm app that automatically comes on your phone to wake up a little bit earlier to eat your breakfast. It's just the alarm app on your
Yeah.
phone. And
No,
so
I like it.
That's it. Kids are going to be like, it's so cheesy.
I upgraded my Fitbit recently, and it has a setting where it'll do the 20 seconds to count your hand washing.
Yeah.
Along with the COVID thing.
Yes.
So you would think they could, same thing, like
Yeah.
eat some berries now.
There are some apps out there, and I should look more into them, just so that we can have better recommendations for those kind of apps. I downloaded one the other day, and you could actually set goals, and it could be like eat 3 to 5 servings of veggies a day, and like just like general health ones, but it wasn't necessarily geared
And there's
towards
honestly, I
athletes.
think there's plenty of them out there. Again, just as a default. Like my wife uses the Fitbit app to log her food.
Yeah.
And so it does take into account then, oh, you exercise today
Yeah.
and burn X amount of calories, so your allowance or whatever changes. So I think, I would say this: you probably don't have to get super fancy, or maybe even pay money for it. I think most of the free apps even will help you a little bit.
A lot of free
And
stuff,
honestly, the other part, and not to make this into a sales pitch, but Lizzie does virtual consults too. So even if you're not in the area, it's really quick, it's really easy. Again, my daughter did one and has benefited from it. One of the benefits she got was that it confirmed that she was in a pretty decent spot. So it wasn't like you need to change your whole life. It's not like you go in and find out like you're gonna have a heart attack and all of a sudden you have to like revamp everything.
Yeah.
It was more like, well, you could probably get a little better at this, but 80% of what you're doing is pretty good. So go ahead and keep on that path. So it's not always like a doomsday scenario either. A lot of times it's just refinements or helping you reach those goals. It's not chastising, and it's not trying to turn skinny little people into giant offensive linemen either.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the biggest thing is that a lot of times it seems like, oh, dietitian, clinical, maybe, and it's not. It doesn't have to be like that. I see 99% of the people that I see are athletes or active people. I see a lot of high school athletes, and college athletes do work with college and high school athletes. So I think that's the big thing is like use nutrition to improve your performance or to help you get more out of those workouts. Sometimes I see kids and they're like out at the sports complex for like 5 or 6 hours. Like, how are you clocking in, right? Like they're spending more time out here than I am.
I think they're called interns.
Yeah, exactly. So like you should at least be thinking a little bit about nutrition. Like, hey, I got a snack pack to my bag. So some of this stuff, I think it's just trying to make kids more aware. It's not even necessarily, again, getting down into the nitty gritty of what they need to be doing. It's just that awareness. I am now aware that food impacts my workouts, food impacts my mood, food impacts my health, all these things.
Sure. If you want to see us tackle some more specific subjects in the future, comment. We'll tackle that later. One other thing, if you're the parent or a high school football player yourself, an awesome project that Lizzie and some other folks here have been working on the last couple of years is with the South Dakota Beef Council called Build Your Base with Beef. And they've got a great website with a lot of resources, videos, recipes, and that's really geared towards not only making sure the kids have access to the lean protein and education, but teaching mom and dad too. Here's a meal you can make it supper. We'll take the guesswork out of it for you, and that's another one I would highly recommend, especially if you're a football parent out there. Yeah,
exactly.
More to come on that. Awesome, Dylan. Are we all clear? We're all clear. Awesome, Lizzie. Thank you so much. Pleasure as always. We always have fun with Lizzie. Thank you guys for all watching again. Find Lizzie on social media. Comment after the fact here. I think we're gonna try and keep doing these every so often. People liked them. Lizzie's a lot of fun, and I always learn things too. So thank you guys for being here. Stay well, and we'll see you again very soon.
Bye.